Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, and I'm really happy to see everyone back again. Now it's time to move forward in our Linux journey. In our last couple of videos, and specifically the most recent one that we posted, we showed you all how to virtualize RHEL on your Mac computer. And as promised, we didn't forget about our Mac folks. That video will give you all the information that you need in order to make sure that you install RHEL 8.7 on your Intel-based Mac so you can follow along in the videos. And prior to that video, we released another one that talks all about tab completion, showing you command history, and a lot of other cool little tricks. So check out those videos. Links will be in the description, and onward with our video for today. Now in today's video, we're gonna focus on how files are organized in Linux. We're also gonna take a look at directories and how those directories are set up within Linux. And we'll also talk a little bit about what makes those directories important. So this is one of the most basic but fundamental concepts when learning about operating systems. So stick around as we touch on those topics. But before we do, make sure you go ahead and like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications so that way you don't miss whenever we upload to the channel. Lastly, share the video with a family member or friend so you can help them on their tech journey. So with all those items out of the way, let's jump on the computer and let's learn all about directories. Let's learn about their structures, why it's important. Let's look at files. So we got a lot to cover. Let's head over. So welcome everyone to my desktop where we're going to learn all about directories. We're going to learn about files and how everything works together in a Linux operating system. And specifically, we're going to target Red Hat Enterprise Linux. And specifically, we're working with Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8. Up on my screen here is the whiteboard. And so let's start breaking down what files and directories. So files and directories. Now you're gonna have to pardon my handwriting. I was never really good at writing, but I will say I was very good at typing. Now in a Linux operating system, you have files and you have directories. A file can be something that contains information. As an example, it can be a text file where you can type in a note. So we can say .txt for a text file. It can be a shell script, and we can say .sh for a shell script. It can be a PDF file, so .pdf. So in our case here, we made three examples. You have a .txt, which is a file extension. It tells you what the file is. .sh for shell, and then a .pdf for a PDF file. These extensions actually tell you what the files are in a Windows operating system. In the Linux world, this doesn't apply. Everything in the Linux operating system is actually a file. And these files can all sit inside of a directory. Now I'm going to attempt to draw a directory here, but it may come out pretty horrible. All right, folks, so that's the best you're going to get out of me. That is my attempt at a directory. A second ago, I just said everything in the Linux operating system is a file. So does that also include a directory? And you absolutely guessed it. That is correct. Even a directory is considered a file. So a directory is literally just a list of files. Now, in order to make this nice and clean so that way we can see this when we actually go into our Linux environment, I'll call it lewis.txt, lewis.sh, and lewis.pdf. So all three of these files are going to live in this directory here. So here we are on our Linux machine, and of course we have the terminal up, and by now you should be very familiar with how to bring up the terminal. So let's take a look inside this directory in which we are in, which is our home directory, and let's see what we have inside. So we can see that we have a couple of directories and we have a file in there as well. How do we know that these are directories or whether they're files? If we use the ls-la command. So ls stands for list, dash is our options. So we're giving it the long list and all option. And by the way, you should be familiar with running commands by now. I'll leave a link in the description of which video covers how to run commands and what makes up a command. So check out the description to see that video. So as we can see here, we have a long list of all the items within our directory. And so the output tells us that RHEL 8.7 DVD ISO, which is over here. This one is a file, and we know it's a file because of this dash you see over here. But now, as an example, public, right? So let's take a look at public. Public is a directory, and we know it's a directory because we have a D over here. So that's a really cool way to figure out what is a directory and what is a file. But just know the underworkings of a Linux operating system is everything is a file. And remember, for a directory, all it is a file containing all the files within that directory. So in order to follow the example on the whiteboard, let's create our files. We have lewis.txt, lewis.sh, and lewis.pdf. So if I do an ls to show me what's inside the directories, you can see our three files, lewis.pdf, lewis.sh, and lewis.txt. Now earlier I spoke and I said that the file extensions in Linux operating systems don't actually matter like they do in a Windows operating system. Let's take a look at that example. So if I were to open up lewis.txt and say it's a text file, and in the text file now I'm going to say, hello, my name is Lewis. Let's go ahead and save that. We can use the cat command in order to list the contents of that file. So let's list that. And of course it says, hello, my name is Lewis, which is what we just typed for a text file. Now here's the interesting thing. If I remove the .txt for the extension, so we do that by using the move command, and remember, we actually covered this in a previous video. So if I say lewis.txt and I just call it Lewis, and we were to do an ls to take a look at what's inside the directory, you can see here that here's the file. It's no longer called lewis.txt. And if we also run the cat command now on Lewis, you can see that it outputs the same exact thing as if I were to cat lewis.txt. Why? Because file extensions actually don't matter in Linux operating system. The file extensions is really for us to understand. So if I wanted to say, hey, well, what's the difference between lewis.sh as a shell file or lewis.txt, which is a text file, I put in that extension in order to help me out. It's not really for the operating system. So let's go ahead and rename Lewis to lewis.txt in order to help us understand what are the differences between the files for us as humans, not so much for the computers, because as I mentioned before, file extensions don't matter in the Linux world. So now that you guys know what files are and you know that the file extensions don't matter in Linux, it's really just for us to understand the differences between the file. The other thing that I wanted to show you, which is quite interesting, is directories is just a file that shows what's inside of the directory. And we can see that by using our vi command or our editor to open up the file to take a look at the contents of a directory. So as an example, we are in the home directory. So if I were to do vi for our text editor to open up the file, and I were to do our directory name, which is El Acosta, and how do we know that that's a directory? Well, let's take a look real quick. If I were to do an ls, you can see El Acosta is listed under the home directory, but if I were to do an ls-la, you can see here that El Acosta is a directory here with the D. So let's go ahead and open that up with our VI editor, and we open up the file. And we can see here a list of all the files within the directory. And of course, we can get to our lewis.txt from here, and we can open that up. And there was the original file that we created earlier that we said, hello, my name is Lewis. So pretty cool how you can open up a file to show you the contents of inside of the directory. And within the text editor, specifically VI, you can go ahead and navigate to open up whatever files you need. So let's exit out of this. So now that we understand what files are and what directories are, and you just learned that they're actually very, very similar, let's take a look at some important directories that you'll find in the Linux operating system, and specifically in RHEL 8. So let's head back to our whiteboard. So here we have a list of some of the most important directories that you will find in a Linux operating system. And again, specifically, you'll find this in RHEL 8. So one of the first things that I want to show you is that this right here is actually referred to as a tree. It's an inverted tree because you can actually see here that you have different branches in which you can have different directories. Now, this inverted directory tree structure is often called a file system hierarchy. Now, this is very, very important because this core group of directories actually controls a lot of what happens in the Linux world. Now, our first directory that we're going to go over in this file system hierarchy is the root directory. And the root directory is the first one on the list over here. And we know it's the root directory because of this slash over here. So this is where everything begins. or as I like to call it, the genesis, the beginning of the file system hierarchy. And then from there, you branch off into different directories depending on what you need. So as an example, you may have noticed earlier that we were in our home directory, which is right over here. And our home directory actually stores our user information. So from here, we can branch off and we can call this L Acosta, as you saw earlier when we were working with the terminal. Now keep in mind, this will be my username, but yours may vary and it might be different. So in this particular case, you'll have slash, which is the root, then you have home, then you have another slash. So that second slash that you saw me put in, that is the character that we use in order to separate where we are in the directory structure. And that is known as a directory separator. So in order to finish this out now, you have slash for your root, then you have home, which is your next directory, which is what we have over here. And then it's followed by L Acosta, and that is considered our full path. And we'll talk later about what a full path is. So now let's take a look at that example in the Linux operating system. One of the commands that I want to teach you now is called pwd, which stands for print working directory. As you can see, pwd prints the working directory, tells us that we are in the L Acosta directory right now, and that's also located under home. And as you saw earlier, you have slash for your root, which is over here. Then you have followed by home. Then you follow that by L Acosta. And it's the same exact thing that we did on the whiteboard. So now let me show you another way in which you can view this tree structure by using a command called tree. And we're going to actually take a look at the very same example that we just looked at. So if we were to do tree, and we're going to give it some options to only show us just the directories because we're not interested in seeing any of the files. And we're going to just look at the first level, and we do that by putting a capital L, and the first level is level 1, and we give it the path that we're interested in looking at. So it's going to be slash for the root, and we're going to take a look at home. And as you can see here, you have slash, which is root, then you have the directory of home, and within home you have L Acosta. And keep in mind that your directory or your username might be different, but for mine, of course, it's L Acosta. And if we go back to our whiteboard, we can see that that is the case. And here is that example. There's a couple of other directories that we see here. And if we see, you have the directory called bin, you have the directory called boot, then you have dev, you have etc., so on and so forth. Now, these directories are very, very special. They actually mean something. They're not just there in order to have them there for nothing. So one of the things that I encourage you all to do is to go ahead and read what these directories are for and why do we have them. So as an example, if we want to go ahead and read about the file system hierarchy and what are these directories and why are they necessary, we can go ahead and take a look at the etc directory, and I'll circle that in blue. So that way we can read about what the etc directory is and why it's important. So I'm going to take you back into the Linux environment now, and I'll show you where you can find out information about all these directories, specifically these specific ones here. So here we are, we're back in Linux, we have our terminal up. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use the man pages in order to learn about the file system hierarchy. And if you don't know about man pages and you don't remember, I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description for the video that talks all about man pages. So let's go ahead and type in man space, and we can do HIER, and that man page will give us information about the file system hierarchy. And as you can see here in the description, it's a typical Linux system has, among others, the following directories. So let's take a look at an example, right? Remember we talked about root, and root was slash, and this is where the whole tree starts. And we talked about that earlier, about that being the genesis or the beginning of where the tree is. So now the other one that we talked about earlier was the etc directory. So let's take a look at what the etc directory is. Slash etc says it contains configuration files which are local to the machine. Some larger packages like X11 can have their own subdirectories below slash etc. Site-wide configuration files may be placed here or in user slash etc. Nevertheless, programs should always look for these files in the slash etc, and you may have links for these files to slash user slash etc. So now your homework assignment is to go look at the first level of directories, which are very, very important, which is bin, boot, dev, Etsy, so on and so forth. You have the directories here. Go inside that man page and get yourself familiarized with what these specific directories are and why they're so important. That is all for today's video. There was certainly a lot of good information, and you certainly learned a lot about directories. You learned about the structure of the directories. We also touched a little bit about files and the importance of those files within the directories. So we just took another step in your Linux journey, and you're that much closer to becoming proficient. So again, if you found the video to be helpful, go ahead and give me a like for the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications so you don't miss out whenever we upload to the channel, and share the video with a family member or friend so that way you can help them on their tech journey. And we will see everyone in the next video.